Okay, so we're going to start with a little tray here. And one good thing of this is we're on video, so we can reference a lot of this. We do have our service manual that we talked about in one video that we can use as a reference for certain things. But when you're just getting down to taking it apart, you just look for your obvious places. So we got 2 screws here. I think there's 2 over there on the equal side. And then the ones along the rail where the windshield sits. So I'll do it this way too. It's a pretty fat-headed screw right here. It's got a little washer on it, and it's a loose washer. It's not built in. And so we'll just put that in there. We got 2 of them over here. We'll just start with the bare bones of it. The same 2 over here. There's not any more or any less. Up here, there's where these are. They are on here, here, and they just, you can see them sprinkled throughout up there. So you kind of see where you're at, and there's obviously more to do. I can't be certain what these are holding on to. It looks like a bracket. And keep in mind, I haven't opened up one of these before. So we were both doing this for the first time together. Yeah, so it looks like a bracket that is attached to the doghouse portion here. So we'll want to get that one out. And we probably have to take air cleaner off to get a good shot at it. Same screw on this one as well, so they're pretty consistent, our screws. I'm used to a lot of this stuff, they'll move it around or to different sizes, different lengths, different heads. It's also good to get this dash out, so it's got a lot of age. We'll be able to repaint it the proper black and without having to make a mess and mask everything off and just get it all out at once. So we got our fuse box hanging on here. I will probably go ahead and disconnect that just in case. Usually they strap all that up inside of the dash, and so we'll just do it just in case, because sometimes we do need that extra little help having it loose. We do have this going into the steering column. It's one of the same style screws. This little metal piece, which gets the same color of the dash, it can go in there with the parts. We'll probably have to disconnect these 2 bolts that hold the steering column up to the dash. And they're maybe a 9/16 or 5/8. I'll guess 9/16 first. Yep. It's pretty tight. So we got a U-bracket and the 2 bolts. Little piece here, which looks like it's around the wiring harness. Kind of let that float. Looks like it kind of clips into the tube. We got one here for this guy for the e-brake. Probably the same size. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Half inch. And our 9/16 here. And our half right here. Got a little bit of an angle, which is good because of obstruction. Half-inch head. Loose washer. Built-in washer, I guess. So I believe that disconnects it from the dash. It is still connected to the body. And I don't think it doesn't need any more disconnect on that, at least so far. Alright, so I looked around a little bit. I just went ahead and started disconnecting the instrument cluster. That'll open up some things. And on the back, obviously, on these anything older, you have a mechanical speedometer cable. So I unclipped it, and it's just a little finger that you pop loose. Then we got this connector that goes from here to the steering column. We'll have all your turn signal cam and all that stuff. Might be a good idea to disconnect that one. And one thing to keep in mind there, the plastic connector, so it's nearly 50 years old. It'll likely snap even if you're careful, but we'll try to avoid that. The bulkhead for the wiring goes right through the firewall right here, and it usually has little metal clips you have to spring them in, much like what I just had to do here with these little tangs. And right now I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the dimmer switch because the wiring doesn't have a connector on it to the dash. So if we get in a pinch and we need to pull it out, at least that won't be holding us up. It'll just kind of come out all together. These two screws are a little bit different from the rest of them. They have the same head, they just don't have the washers. So I'll just stick them right back in the holes that it was in. You know, just about halfway. That way we don't lose track of it. I'm not one to usually label things down to the T unless I just really am forced to. But sometimes situations like this, you keep things in a tray here, it's all for one assembly. Or this, I'll just put it back in the holes because it's not going to really be disturbed there for right now. Alright, so here's the bulkhead. On the other side of this is where we was looking at it under the dash. And right here you have these little metal tabs. They're pretty tight, very springy. If you depress all four of those, there's two on each side. If you depress those and push through, it should disconnect it. Now what you have to do first is disconnect these, and these could be brittle since they've been out here in the elements a little bit more. So we'll try to get these loose. I don't have a prop on this, so I need to get a prop so you can prop this up. So we'll try to get these loose and we'll jump back on here. So we took a look at our service manual, and right here it shows us on these knobs for the heater, they're not a pull-off knob. They have a small Allen screw underneath them. So very helpful. And when I went to look to actually see it, it would have escaped me. One, it's kind of dark, and two, it's just so small, being underneath there and everything. So we're going to have to figure out what size that is, and we can unscrew these pieces. These other ones. The first one didn't seem like it was very tight. And yeah, probably the same thing in this one. So they've come loose, or they just don't need much to hold them in. Right off. Now we'll have to get the little bezels off of these other two. This one was fine, so this one we'll just drop out the back. Alright, we got the controls loose over here. There's a couple more wires we got loose. There's one that's still hanging. It's basically the wire that goes to the back of the van for the tail lights and all that stuff. I can't really access it. I can almost get through the front when you lean this forward. See, it's pretty loose. I think there's the brackets that are holding these screws went into. I think that's what's constricting us. But I never leave it to just that. It could be something totally out of my radar. So what I'm going to try and do is see if we can lift up on it. Get this guy out of the way here. See what we can do. I should wear gloves with the sheet metal. So. Grab my welder's gloves. So it looks like that is mostly what we're hanging on is that one wiring harness that goes to the rear. So this gives me some access. I don't want it to come crashing forward. I don't think it'll hurt too much, even the gauge adjuster. So there's our wiring connector. Sometimes these are a little difficult. They have kind of an internal finger there to access it. You gotta watch not to stab yourself also. Kind of wiggles loose. I might have. There we go. Right there. So this part goes onto the back of the van, and this is what everything feeds to that one. And everything here, you can see our circuit board, all the back of everything. Now here's the rotted vent hoses. They have a little clip here that you have to separate a finger on, and then you can push it out and it lifts it off. So we'll have to either get new ones of these or see what's out there. They look similar to the ones that have been in the A-body Chrysler products. So. Looks like some of the wiring has this all wound up here from where it goes underneath. Might be for the brake pedal, that's what I'm guessing. Okay. Usually 2 wires. There's these, that's what was holding it. At least to that point. We'll see when we get the rest of it out. Get it on that side of the steering column. Might help us out. So I can get it loose. Over there, these are the heater cables. Probably never been off. This one can feed back, and both of them looks like, so all the heater cables are back inside. Now this one here, we've got for the heater box, basically for the fan and all that, I'm sure. So there's a, it's kind of a pink or red, looks like red and black on top. And then this here on the bottom, that's doesn't need to come out because it's not a part of this dash wiring. This will all be together here. And our dimmer switch was hanging up. So let's try to completely sever it from the van. And there it is. So lay this down. You can get a good look at the back side of it. Most dashes on an assembly line are put in just like this here. All the loose components. Some of the wiring is a little better held up in there. You can see where you can get your dash pad, the little sheet metal nuts. And there's the bulkhead that goes to the engine. And not many fuses on that one, which that's very simple. Here's what we got in the van itself. It looks almost Japanese, 1980s, how their dash would be in the end. So this is interesting here. We've got a cap lug, plastic lug here. We could take this loose and maybe get a little bit more access into what's going on inside of here. And we can start fabricating either most or part of this piece here. And see how bad it really is. We know it's bad there, showed you that, or at least talked about it. So we'll move forward here, get this dash out of the way, and see what we got.